yeah, she said that a certain something had been reached, a certain threshold. Something had been accomplished to the point where there was now a 2 week period, and I think that's either over or half over. It was a 2 week period in which those bad actors would have a choice to, I guess, surrender and go into, whatever, restitution or rehabilitation or whatever the case is. Now, this is from a soul level. And that after that 2 weeks, it was going to be, hell on wheels. So, I don't know. I mean, I saw a post she just put up, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for her. Absolutely, 100%.
What is her name?
Stellar, STEL. Well, if you go on my Facebook page, as long as they're not over 30 days old, or YouTube, you can go to YouTube.
I'm not on
Yeah.
Facebook. I'll just
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah, she's on there, and we've worked in the past together. It's been a few years, but I got your name up. Okay, and but yeah, I just saw a post she put up where she was talking about don't fall for the propaganda. Now she's very you might say non-political. She's not. She's in it for the light worker reasons. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And she said that there was it was a huge white hat initiative, and don't pay attention to the propaganda of like the schools blowing up or whatever. I don't know. I take everything in from everybody, and I make my own decision. But like the Universal told me 10 days ago on the beach, it's all in your hands. You, me, and I think I get what it's saying. It's in all of our hands. So I don't know, even knowing Gareth's stuff, Franco's stuff, this new friend, Bliss Diggins, where he's communicating.
Yeah,
he's communicating.
Yeah.
He's going to start coming on once a week. We're going to see how that goes. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, if it's all a big psyops, I mean, I come from the school of thought, which is innate within me, which is these are playgrounds. These are places that we come to expand and learn, and we're like these trapeze artists on the high wire that if we fall, the mother catches us in the net. However, anything's possible. The whole demiurge, archon, that whole thing that, Gareth talks about it, I've studied it. That's very real. The crimes against humanity are very real. But at the same time, we come, at least my understanding in my own lineage, even confirmed even in the last month at the beach, through the communion, I came from outside of this galaxy. And I kind of know where I was before, so I don't know, I mean, I think what's happening though is a replay. It's the same people. Like I seen the whole Orion Lyran thing I was revisited with during this past month. As I go out and I'll go back tonight and continue, but some of what they brought in, I already knew a lot of this stuff, but because I had experienced it for a couple of years, but they were just reiterating everything, which was the whole Orion thing, and then kind of like the movement towards Earth, which was from the Pleiades, Syrians, and so on. But the antagonistic energy, the bad actors, the gripes, the conflicts. I mean, these go back, a long time. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think the more information that gets out there through the personal retelling of stories, and that includes those things which come back into our memory banks within our body, is what changes everything. I mean, imagine if everybody was like, "Oh, I've had more than one life, and I was on other planets, and I know you from here, and I know you from there, and you know what I mean." It would change it changes everything. So but it's a very fascinating time. It's fast paced, and a lot of people. I don't remember yours, Gareth, but a lot of people. Not a lot. There are people that I know of high credibility that are running in these circles that we're in. In addition to Edgar Casey, Dolores Cannon, Franco, and there's a few others that are more well known, that are saying that this equinox is very important, and that from now up until the first week of April, which is Easter, we're going to make some huge jumps, and on a personal level and a collaborative level, we're going to enter like a new era of creativity. That may take a while. I'm not saying there's going to be,
The
no,
message from all those people you said, Todd, the message from all those people you mentioned and a handful of others is getting distilled down and getting clearer, and they're all saying the same
I agree. I
things
totally
now.
agree. I totally agree. But I also spent a lot of time with Franco. We did 52 shows, and one of the things I always respected about him, because it was how my intel was given to me, and I'm not saying that it's right, I'm just saying it's something that's innate within me, is that any information that comes in is like a snapshot of what's the trajectory where we're headed. Now, there can be a school of thought that says this is all said and done, blah, 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 but I don't know about that. I don't know about that, because how do we not know that what thoughts we carry forward is exactly what will happen? Okay, so, but my point is that you're right. It is all coming down to like one voice, one narrative, but there's still a lot of stuff out there, and I think most of that stuff out there is the stuff that we put in front of us on social media, and my feeling with my soul and my experience with, you might say, the oversoul or the you, me, we, and it, has been, if we have to take every damn thing away from you, we will. And that includes every belief system. That includes any and everything.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
I've said since my awakening, I will die on that hill. It's truth or death at this point.
That's
I don't want anything else.
That's
I don't want anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of this, I'm going to get out of here, but some of this stuff has been coming in at the beach, almost like a review, almost like a conclusion. Here's all the stuff that you've experienced. Here's what we've talked about in the past. Now let's give it to you one more concentrated dose, right? Yes. So I feel like that's a very good sign. And I had another visit from the red-orange fireball, which showed me it was a ship, okay? And I didn't ask for it. It just came in and danced. I'm like, man, that's a ship. Oh, it's the same one. And then the final one came 2 nights ago, and I said the final one. I keep saying that, and then they come back and give me something else. But it was funny, actually, because I went, took my sandals off, put my feet, connect to the mother. I'm up in the father and everything, and this white dog came up to me, which I've had that happen before. I'm like, oh wow, okay, And then that freaking bird came back. And this time, it was from here to that wall. It was probably like 8 feet away from me. And it was flapping, and I was like, oh, my God. Okay, all right, well, I chilled the fuck out, I think I'm okay, And then the craziest thing happened, because everything happens in threes. And I thought to myself, oh, that'd be crazy if I saw another white animal, but what's it going to be? I mean, it's already been a bird and a dog. I saw a cat out here one time, but you never see a cat on the beach, hardly, unless there's a bunch of fishermen leaving fish out. So the next thing I know, I hear the cloppity clop of a horse, and this cowboy. Now this is at night. This is like 9 o'clock at night. The cowboy comes off the street up over the dune, and the white horse passes right in front of me, and I'm like, okay, like this is the kind of language and this is the kind of experience that we are innately connected to and instinctively know. So I see a lot of good signs. I really do.
Yeah.
White horses.
I love that happens for you on the beach. Go on, Gareth.
What's that?
Yeah, the white horse that's in Wiltshire, where I was when we were speaking to Tom. The people around that experience. There's a couple of chalk glyphs. The hills there. If you cut the grass, is white chalk underneath chalk hills. So there's a lot of glyphs there from like ancient Celtic glyphs. And one of them is a horse, and I was told that was it's a symbol for Tom, like the spirit
Really,
of life. Yeah.
that resonates. You know,
The
years.
white horse.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in. We were in New Jersey in 2018, and we were staying at a. People would let us stay with them. You know, we stayed for a night or whatever, and we were in this. I think it was two. I remember it was two twin beds, and it was like a kid's room or something. You know, and I woke up about 3:30 in the morning, and I'm looking on the ceiling. I filmed this. It's out there, and there was a white horse, Pegasus looking thing that was operating on the ceiling. I got my
That's
camera out and
awesome.
I took a
As
video
they
of
do.
it. Yeah, yeah.
That's another thing that's coming back in, Todd, and maybe is dragons. They're getting talked about everywhere. I think you
Yeah.
had someone on today.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, we've talked about it over the years. I've had my dragon experiences. I've had plenty of them,
Yep.
and
Yep. Yep.
my partner and I, we've had plenty as well. Yeah, I mean, going back to Kauai, I had 12 of them present themselves to me. There was a period where she left for a couple of months, and I was there. I had one. Actually, the first night I stayed in a hotel when I went. This is Todd, you know, living out of a suitcase, right, with a microphone and a computer, and somehow or another I got called to Kauai. I didn't even know what it was. And of course, once I got there, then just like here, everything started to show itself. So a lady reached out to me, and she's like, "Hey, I've got a room with a bathroom available for 7 weeks if you want to come stay there." I'm like, "Okay." So the first day I walk over there, I stayed in a hotel for 2 nights, and I went over there, and she lived on the north side near a cliff that a road was on a cliff, and then it went down into a lagoon, right? So I get over there, I'm thinking, how the hell can this homeless hobo, broke ass, be in Hawaii in the north side? I'm like, just, you know, the sun's starting to go down. I walk down to down the road, down the cliff into this lagoon. I sit on this log, and I look to my left, and I see a cave, and there's a reptilian in the back of the cave. And then there's all these elementals and flying around and all these colors and stuff. But I had an experience with them there, you know, dragons as
Yeah, I
well.
forget. Not all reptilians are malevolent. I forget that.
Well, not all Pleiadians are malevolent, however you say it. I never can say that damn word. I mean, but, you know, this is the whole thing. You know, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was when I graduated high school. My best friend, his father, I looked up to him. And he said to me something like, I don't know, one of those, what are you going to be when you grow up things, right? And, but he said to me, let me tell you something. You take a group of people here in your high school, you take a group of people in college where you're going, you take a group of people in business or any organization, you're going to have the same percentage of people. You know, you're going to have 10% of these people and 10% of these people and 10% of these people. But, you know, it's such a colossal, comprehensive set of experiences that are coming down to one. And I think, you know, it's hard to really say this is exactly what's going to happen, but one thing is for damn sure. That is, this has got to be the most exciting thing that's happened in the multiverses maybe ever.
Ever.
Like,
Ever.
this is like,
Ever.
talk about making a comeback from a setback. Somebody got off the
Yep.
reservation, and this is what transformation's all about and what Soulogy's all about. All right, well, you guys have fun. I will try not to let the tape run this time. I'll come back in 2 hours. Is that good, or hour and a half? What do you want?
Sure.
It's usually 2 hours. Last time I
Yeah,
came back was, and y'all went another half hour, so I had to get up and go. All right.
seems to be 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours.
It just seems,
I'll come back in just to make sure in 2 hours and 10 minutes. So that'll be at past. Okay. All right. You guys take care. Love you. Have a great show.
Love you. Thanks, Todd.
Wow. Okay. Just getting organized still. I keep trying different
Still?
positions, the camera and seating, and
Tell me
But
about
yeah,
it.
this
Last week I was in my office off my bedroom and it was very, very, very dark. And I had bought myself a boom and a microphone and these headphones from Shure. And I haven't put anything together because I just don't feel like it. I said, oh, I'll open the headphones. And then we tested it on a Zoom, and thank God because I was really projecting my voice because these really make me unable to hear anything. Like I can't hear how loud I am. So I'm like, I gotta start whispering. Nobody's gonna want
oh
to
man, it
listen
was
to
cool.
me.
I was thinking, wow, how many coffees has Katie had this morning?
None. I don't have coffee every day. I
It's
haven't
been
had coffee in a
surprising.
couple of weeks. No, no.
Wow.
So I don't know where we want to start. I've shared a lot with you, like Tarot by Janine shared that Dolores Cannon reel, and Dolores Cannon says a lot of spot on stuff about all of this,
Yeah.
right?
Sorry,
I
I'm
don't
just
know how
changing things a bit.
closely or how much you listen to her.
Over the years, yeah, over the years. I mean,
Yeah,
a lot of that predictive stuff, Casey, and there's a lot coming to a head this year. A lot of stuff that was predicted, and that's the funny thing. Like a lot of it's the language. Um, it's not until the time it's sort of coming together that you click it with it in a deeper way. The way things were spoken, there's a lot of symbolism or code you could say within it, and when you connect them all together, and then look at the media. Things that come to you when you go online. There's a living process playing out for each person too. So yeah, it's good to
yeah.
notice that.
Yeah, so Janine played that little reel and it was really good. A lot of the things really aligned with everything you say and Alexander Quinn and Pam Gregory and David Clements. But one of the things I was inspired to comment on because it was we are fleas on Earth, like humanity is a flea on a dog regarding us and the earth. And I had to write and say, oh, absolutely, we are not.
No,
Absolutely, we
no.
are not. We are every bit as sacred and divine as the earth. This is all one thing. So there's those little disconnects of what people know. And not that what I say is gospel, but I can feel that that's not the case. Like I can feel you say some wonderful stuff and then you compare us to fleas on a dog. Whoa.
No, that's not the case. Yeah, that's why the statement Tom made about you insist you have a human nature is so important because you look at this myth of human nature, and it's one of the big parts of the control system that humans are fundamentally flawed, and that we need to be better than we are. But we've never quite managed to get there because we're fundamentally flawed. It's almost like there's an inevitability to it that's sewn into that controlled narrative around what humans are, the human nature myth that's designed to keep us stuck, and you come into this programming of self-doubt and you connect with this big picture of humanity. Oh well, what can you do? That's human nature. We write off so many problems as being just a product of human nature. Oh well, what can you do? That's life. And that's not the case at all. That's not the case
Yeah,
at all. Human nature.
right.
I mean, one thing I was told, Star Trek was given to Roddenberry by Tom directly through conversations they had over uh, a decade. I think it was. It was a long time. And one statement I was told by the group around the book, the Only Planet of Choice, the captain of the Enterprise is always a human. So when you get this composite of the galactic family that we are, our place within that is actually very um, powerful,
Significant? Powerful.
very significant.
Significant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're a conglomerate, we're a mix, and there's something unique and very powerful about that. That's unique, and it has a big purpose. So that yeah, when you hear stuff like that, we're a
Yeah.
parasite on the you know the body of
It's
life. That's not
It's
correct.
like it's the program. It's like even though Dolores was channeling and receiving and doing the hypnosis with people who were bringing in so much good information, she's still living in the program. She was a military wife and like all these kids and moving all over the place. You can't tell me she wasn't living in the program. So to say, so like Lynn's sent me, I think it was a Luna, I can't remember, that doubt itself is the program.
Yes.
So to repeat, to take in, to believe, and then to repeat that we are like fleas on a dog is the program. That
Yes. Reinforce. Yeah.
it's the whole power, it's the whole power behind the climate change hoax. Feel that take what they've done, they being corporations, done to the earth by mishandling and abuse, take that, put it on us, and
Hmm.
we feel the guilt for it. We go around washing our garbage and screaming, protect the planet and, recycle everything. It's just exhausting.
And feeling bad
Um,
ourselves, feeling bad about ourselves. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's where taking responsibility for your own how you move through life, just you on the feet on the ground, is so powerful. It's there's a lot more to doing it than just your own insignificant life. When you
Yeah.
take responsibility for reversing the inversion within you, the emotional reactionaryism, where you don't buy all of this stuff, and you start to move through a process of becoming more aware of the reality of who you are. If you don't have a human nature, well, what is your nature? Now you've got a question where you had a conclusion, and that's the same. It just fixes your trajectory through this process. So you start to relate to the information coming in or the process playing out in a very different way. The power that has on the big picture, you can't see the significance of it. There's a line I was given about people and reality. This the extraordinary ordinariness, and it's both. So we have this ordinary life and this ordinary sense of ourselves, and in a sense, it's quite small and it's on the street, and out there is big. Corporations are big. The world out there is big, and we're small. But the world out there exists because of us. The way Tom put it, you are all as a star. The Arcturian said you're all the center of the universe. So when we change our relationship to the big picture through this sort of self-inquiry process, if I'm not human, then what am I? Divine. What is that?
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
starting to receive things in a different way. That means that
Mm-hmm.
what you put out and what you create changes equally powerfully, and that's
Yeah.
the key to transforming reality. That's why in the Matrix movies, what Neo was doing was so powerful, and why the
Mm-hmm.
agents in the Matrix were hammering him so hard, which is conditioning, because it only takes a
Yeah.
few of us to wake up to our power, and it changes the big picture.
It absolutely does, and that's why that's happening. That's why it aligns with David Hawkins' energy and how one of us in this awakened, aware state can affect 750,000 who are not awake and aware. And so I think it was Anne and I. We were saying, with this past week, geopolitically wise and conflict wise, it's it's I don't care in that I absolutely care, but I don't care. I
Hmm.
it like you look cold and unfeeling, right? And who looks cold and unfeeling? And do I really believe that about myself? Absolutely not. But I cannot give those conflicts any of my energy, so I don't. And I think that helps the conflict diffuse it all more than engaging, reacting. Like at the end of Mark Atwood and Tarot by Janine's live this afternoon. Please tell me if I get too loud. I'm telling you, I'm deaf.
No, it's fine.
Okay,
So
okay. At the end of their live this afternoon, both of them, because I waxed and waned with being able to hear them. It's like resonance. It's all energy, right? So where you are, who you can hear has to do with where you are. And so I've been listening to both of them for so many years, but now I can listen to them so much better than I could like 6 months ago. And both of them were talking about the most key thing right now is non-reactionaryism. They rely on fear, right? They rely on fear, and they rely on our emotional reactivity. And if we starve them of both of those, the game ends. And so that's what's happening. And then you tie in Alexander Quinn's 8-minute, 38-second YouTube a day or two ago, which is powerful. Probably another thing Lindsay sent. She sends amazing stuff. Like, it's all happening right now, no matter how horrible I feel every single day. But the non-reactionary just seems to be a common thread, a common theme.
That's the whole name of the game. Yeah, problem, reaction, solution. Divide and conquer through problem, reaction, solution, and the controlled narrative. And that's the key thing. Again, Satsang of True North. One of the key things Ramana Maharshi said about how to get free of this whole inversion, he said, find the one who cares. And one of the things you find in the Byron Katie method, which is reality sort of works the opposite way we think. There's one analogy Katie gives in her own experience. One of the things she did before she woke up was she used to hammer her kids about leaving their socks everywhere. And she tells the story about after she came back. She any time these points of conflict would come in, like the way her husband was at times, which she had a real problem with. She would connect to it the opposite way. She would sort of laugh to herself because it was like an opportunity. Each one was an opportunity to be free of something that wasn't even real. So she would laugh. Her response was to laugh. And this thing happened with the kids were leaving socks, and she would just let it be. And she saw it more about herself being free of caring about it. She each time it came to her, she would realize she didn't care anymore. It was like an opportunity to release something. And then something remarkable started to happen. Her kids started picking up the socks.
Yeah.
It's like you let go of needing the thing to change because you let go of the one who cares about it. It changes.
Yeah.
So our whole way of trying to fix the world has been the problem. So when you find the one who cares, it's really important that we fix climate change because humans are really bad and we've got to get better and blah, 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 blah. Before you know it, you're in the deep state control system and you're making it happen. When you find the one who doesn't care about that anymore, suddenly your whole relationship to the problem of climate change transforms as an opportunity to be free. Now your energy, there's something about your energy, the truth of who you are and the truth of where you are connecting that transforms everything around you. And the more of us do that, the faster it's falling apart. It's ironic. It works the opposite way to the way we think. Yeah. Isn't it funny?
Yeah. It was like, I think. Well, we've talked about this numerous times. And I think I've talked about it with Anne. I've talked about it with all of you, Sam, Mike, everybody. Our need for people to be a certain way, when it's kind of ironic, when we release the need for things to be a certain way, they will become a certain way. When the rest of the world catches up to us in awareness, when I could say, I told you so, I will no longer have the need to say, I told you so. It's like, and then I go, oh, but I really kind of want to feel that.
But see, this is the trajectory. You know that. So your relationship to all those moments where that bring up that feeling, it's like you've got a big picture context to wrap around those experiences that now they're coming to you because they're releasing the hold of the inversion. Remember the whole thing, one of the core principles of the mind control system, they know that victims become perpetrators. So we're in this victim perpetrator thing, and because we think polarity is about conflict, not unity, we stay stuck in victim perpetrator, and we become what we judge. So we're constantly doing to other people what was done to us. So this thing about, for instance, COVID, all the people who slammed us about COVID, will be great to see them eat humble pie, and there's a part of us that wants payback. And look, that's understandable. But we can use those experiences when you understand what we've just been talking about as a way to free yourself from the need. Find the one who cares. And that's, you'll find a funny things happening to a lot of us right now is we're stepping out of all the conversations with our families that they're all having, because they're all getting sort of all amped up about what's playing out in the Middle East and the anti-vax movement is getting bigger and bigger and blah, blah, blah. I know in my own family, they never shut up about it. And I used to kind of get all heated up about it, but now I'm just sitting there in silence watching it, just smiling to myself, because it's like I don't feel the need to engage with it. I can't be bothered.
No.
To them, they
A
think
year
that
ago, I could have been bothered. A year ago, I could have. Somehow that is coming up and out of us, that need to be right or be heard, or like, yeah. I'll watch everybody else crumble at what's happening. Like, I can't even engage. I mean, I do in my Instagram posts and my stories and stuff. I'll share stuff about how I feel about vaccines and health and maybe even geopolitical stuff. But for the most part, really empowering or funny, right? Like, find the one who cares, to me, means basically the one who cares is not the truth of who I am. It's the belief system that I've been told I am.
And look, there's two sides to the coin. Exactly. There are two sides to when you use the experience of reactionaryism to find the one who cares about the situation that created the reactionaryism, there's we've got to find the one who cares about it so much that you need to make them see what your blah, 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 story is and convince them to change their life, the whole thing around it. Find the one who really cares about that. Are they real? You go through a process, and what comes out the other side is you find the one who cares about the truth of who they are and doesn't care about anything else. So a funny thing happens. You can see right through the illusion of their false self. You understand through your own direct experience of how that was created, because you see how it was created within you and the distortion it created within you and how it made you. And you can hear this in Byron Katie's story of herself. The way one of the things she says is, when you believe that thought, how do you treat them? How do you treat yourself, and how do you treat them? Well, not very well. So finding the one who cares, you get over the story, caring about the story, but the one who, the truth of who you are, cares and can see the truth of who everyone is through that illusion.
Right.
And
right.
You don't engage with the false persona that they project. You just let it pass through you, and what you look in is to their eyes. You're looking at the child that they were before they were pulled out of themselves.
That's what I was just going to say. That's where the compassion comes in. The compassion, like looking at my family, my child, my cousins, like their angst or beliefs that they believe are their beliefs. And I just think, oh, that's got to be so sad to not know how different reality is. Like that, like, just so much compassion. I was there too. I mean, I know I'm arguing with who I was and what I was and all these other things. Oh, it's 8:38, which is exactly how long the Alexander Quinn video was, and a very significant number in my family. Anyway, so that's where the compassion comes in. Just, I was there and now I'm not, but because I'm not doesn't mean I can look down on you. It means I can welcome you with open arms when you catch up too. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. We hear the one who stop caring as lack of compassion. And that's one of the things the neurotoxicity is designed to get people to dislike autism. is to get them to disconnect from empathy, and so, but objectivity, being asking for the truth in a situation, there's a part of you that's now objective. It's not caught up in the situation, but it's looking at it. But it's because it's looking for the truth of the situation. You're connecting the truth of who you are with the truth of the situation by looking at it that way. So that's a whole other thing. So you find the one who cares, the mental distortion, find where that starts from. Then you actually find the one who cares, the heart, the love connection you have between yourself and everybody else. That the empathy, the real version of empathy, that you're all one, that it's all love, and you can see that in everyone and everything, no matter what their personality is projecting. You're not caught up in it, and that's a big thing with the DE to work. Is for men is don't take it personally. Let her be 360-degree expression, angry, sad, jealous. She's going to love you with all her heart, but she's going to test you. Like, she's going to test you. Are you willing? Are you able to hold her fully? Can she fully trust you and surrender fully? Well, she's going to throw everything at you to make you react and see if there's anything in you that's still stuck in childhood that will react to her. Because if that's the case, you can't see her fully and she can't trust you. Then that's how to handle the feminine principle. And life for a man is a woman. So for them, that's universal to the sacred masculine in men and women. The process for the objectivity is to let life be everything it is. What Tom described as the editor is a sort of knock-on effect of the ego that controls it. We edit life. And that's, again, based on our childhood experiences. So there's parts of us stuck in that aren't mature enough to meet life as it is. When you know how to use this work, you can use those moments to grow up within that experience.
Yeah. It's funny. Further a bit back in the chat, Lindsay said, absolutely, none of it matters in the best way. And I said that, like, absolutely everything matters and absolutely nothing matters. And then Anne just said, I've been replacing saying I don't care with it's not important to me, and she finds it changes the energy. She no longer feels like a callous a-hole, because none of us are callous a-holes. We are it's a funny thing to say. We are seeing the higher perspective of it all. The playing, like we were talking, Mike, I think was
keep going, but I'm going to come
upset.
back to that point in a minute.
Oh, I can talk. I can remember it. I'll write it down if you want to go.
I want to come back to that. I want to come back to what they just said, but you can get going. It's fine. I just wanted to make that point.
Okay. No, I was just saying, like, people we know getting caught up, like Mike specifically, he doesn't care if I throw him under the bus. Like the war, the conflict was upsetting him, and basically, you and I were basically like, no, get excited about it. It doesn't mean you're excited about death and despair and suffering and none of that. It means get excited about it. All of this absolutely has to happen to change anything. It has to come up and be seen, and it is happening. Like the astrology, that whole thing, like it's the shit disturber. It is what is waking people up. People have to be kind of clobbered over the head with a cast iron frying pan right now, because there's such polarization that they're clutching even tighter onto their ideologies and their beliefs and their all these false things that are not them. So I'm not going to go around celebrating the death of people and gunshots and bombs, but I'm going to celebrate that the earth is shifting and that the people are seeing it's unnecessary. It's necessarily unnecessary.
The thing we've all wanted, isn't it, for the world to change? Now, we might have an idea of what that looks like. that there's a truth to it as well. And so the paradigm shift is hitting the physical reality, big picture reality, and that has to happen. It's not just a mental thing; it's a physical thing too. So the power structures are going through a massive transformation, and that's having an impact on the physical. The organ pattern of organized crime is the pattern those of the interference follow with the way they've infiltrated all the systems of our civilization. So there's the Medici's brought in organised crime in the Renaissance. They sponsored art, and they created this mafia pattern. So organised crime is a big part of how those of the interference work. So they have crime networks. They do syndicates, which are under the surface layer. They use undercover agents, spy networks, um, militarization is a part of it. Blah blah blah. So that's all being hit, and that has to happen. There's a reality to it. It's got to play out in the physical. But this is where Find the One Who Cares comes in. And I just wanted to come back to that point of rephrasing that word, that sentence. Find the one who cares about the need to rephrase it. Like,
Find the one who cares. Oh, that's such a good point. Anne's probably giving you the finger right now.
well, look, I just tell you my own
You
experience.
pull that shit on me, and it's really good.
Well, that feeling
Okay,
there.
go
Why
on.
is it so important that you phrase it properly? Properly, what?
Right.
And who cares about
Ooh.
it, really? And
Ooh.
that's so use these moments now. Use these moments. Catch it, but then look at your own. Look at the path of self-inquiry. Who's the one? Who am I being right now? There's only 2 points of view. The ego that controls the truth of who you are. The whole name of this is to get our attention out of the preoccupation we've always had with the ego that controls, and that's the only sense of reality and self we've ever really known, and start
Yep.
forming a picture of who we are, the truth of who we are, which is we don't have any sort of relationship to it and belief system co-op around it.
No.
So we can start
None.
to use these experiences to transfer our sense of reality over. So find the one who cares about needing to rephrase everything. Now, what did the first thing Mary Bennett said to me? Well, when I rang, I connected through the book, The Only Planet of Choice, with someone who had the phone number of the people connected to the book who created it. And when I rang Mary Bennett, the editor, we spoke for 2 hours. Like I've told you, it was crazy. It was an amazing conversation. We just rolled, finishing each other's sentences, and it just went on and on and on. And we both felt a connection. And I don't know, she probably has had many experiences of connecting with people on that level, but I hadn't ever before. Well,
No.
then at
Right.
the end of the conversation, she said, I've got to go to London, but I'll be back next week. Give me a call then, next weekend. So I did. And this time she was very quiet. She asked me a few questions, and I could almost see her sitting back. So tell me, Gareth, what do you think about this? And I could almost see her sitting back, listening to the answer on the other end of the phone, and I would talk away, and I was still in that mode, like yay, and somebody I can relate to. And she interrupted me mid-sentence and said, tell me, Gareth, who do you think Tom is? And instantly I went through all the ways you could say God without saying God. And then I felt this wave of, I would call it anger, but just like the words were, no, I'm not going to let them win. So I said, well, God, who else can he be? And because I used that word, she said, well, I can tell you most people don't know that we need to meet.
Yeah.
And that feeling, find the one who cares. I felt self-conscious, that I had to be conscious of how I was going to be received more than being myself. That's the ego that controls. We need to be someone who is acceptable.
Yep.
And
Yep. So I'm sorry, one more time?
The whole key of this is to be free of that.
Yes. And you said a minute ago, there's the ego that controls and the truth of who you are. And that reminds me of one of my absolute favorite memes. And it's basically like a movie marquee, and with, the letters announcing what movie. And it just says, it's you versus you, and one of you has to die.
Yes,
and in this
exactly.
case, right? In this case,
That's
it's the ego that controls for everybody
Yep.
too.
The whole name of the game for those of the interference was get us to choose to kill the truth of who we are through free
Yeah,
will. We have to choose it,
yeah.
but what's actually taking place is the opposite.
Absolutely. And there was another thing in the Dolores Cannon video that makes me think of this. This is all one being. And if you don't understand that, you're really not understanding any of it. Because even Dolores Cannon said basically that Mother Gaia is ascending whether we do or not. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And talks about the splitting. So the splitting of the earth happened in, like, the talk of that nonsense happened in like the 60s, and it's still perpetuated today by many spiritual teachers and guides and leaders and what have you. And so that was another thing I not necessarily argued with but responded with. And again, who's the one? Find the one who has to explain and let everybody know what's what. But that's so funny. But that there is no you're getting there while that person who doesn't agree with you isn't getting there. Like, that isn't a thing. Like, I just laugh at it because it's still taught. Like, well, they're gonna fight it, and so they're gonna be in a different place than you're gonna be. And I'm like, no, they're not.
The symbol that we were shown for it was everyone's on the same train, but there are two compartments, and we saw there were a whole lot of people in the train carriage, and we saw a barrier come down in the middle and push everyone who was awake to one end of the carriage, and everyone else was at the other, and it was the same for every carriage. So it's one timeline with two experiences. Because, and this is what Tom said, time and time again when I was in England, that the human race is transitioning. You can't transition that way. You can't. But he said the manner of transition of humanity has never been attempted before in the history of the universe. Now, that's where this two versions of the same thing come in. That because of the nature of our consciousness, because we're a conglomerate of multiple races, the 100th monkey effect, the relationship between the amount of people that need to choose a particular trajectory for the entire race to follow that same trajectory is far lower, which means a lot more people are going to be not ready for that choice, which means it has to be handled differently to any other race. So you in a sense, all you've got to, the only reason it's done this way is because there has to be a framework to hold all the people that are completely in the opposite position to go through the same situation, because it doesn't happen as intensely normally in a transition, a dimensional shift for any race. And part of that is for that situation, and part of it is because we're so physically dense. So it's got to be handled in a unique way. So that's really all that means. Like, for instance, this what's playing out in the world, like what we were talking about, the big picture reality, what's blowing up in the Middle East, what's happening in Europe. There are two completely different ways of looking at all. There are people who have found the one who cares enough to look at it and go, wow, the shift that we've all been waiting for so long is finally happening.
That's
Wow,
exactly what That's exactly what Patty just said in the chats. Celebrate that the change we've
exactly,
all
Patty.
been wanting is happening now. Right,
That's right.
right.
Now find the one. See, we've all got an image of what we expectations are a real problem, because again, who am I being right now? We've got an expectation of what everything should and shouldn't look like. So a lot of people in the spiritual community are judging what's playing out as wrong because they've got an expectation of what they think a transition of this nature should look like.
Mm-hmm.
And is that really true? And this is the thing about find the one who cares. um, Use the experience that you're in right now to challenge who you're being in that moment. And sometimes it can be super intense because, what if
Oof.
they're right? To them, what if they're right? The whole world's turning to shit. And oh my God, it's all going to be death and destruction and terrible. Uh, Actually, is that really
Mm-mm.
true?
Mm-mm.
find the one who cares, and that's really all that's happening. That's really all that's happening. For a lot of
Yeah,
people,
it
though,
was.
they're not even in the camp. They're not even in the camp. See, you could talk about the truther community or the people, the group that we're all part of, as having polarized within itself. So there are people who are looking at it as this collapse is the dark side winning in a way.
Mhm.
They're still not quite ready. That they're in the negative aspect of the psyop. They're still not
Yeah,
quite ready to drop that anger and that need to be right. So they're
right.
being
Yeah.
polarized even more through the processes playing out. And then there's other people who are kind of just over all that. They just
Yes,
haven't had a real
and you
framework to put it in.
and you can feel it in their energy. Like wherever I'm leaving comments, whether it be Tarot by Janine or with my 13 Sacred Nights group or with all of you, there's the caveat and the sitting back. And like I just said it in the 13 Sacred Nights, because one of Carter asked me what was my take on Jesus, the Nazarene, what's Gareth's take on this? Oh, and 33 on the call. Anyway, and
Yeah.
I is right. And I finished my explanation, my take on the Nazarene with the beautiful thing about it is I'm okay if I'm wrong. I really kind of don't care
Yeah,
if I'm wrong. That's
it's the
it's like
truth.
an
Yeah.
incredibly beautiful. It's the truth. All I care about is the truth. Even if what I believe to be so is false, and something else takes the place of what I believe because it is the truth, because that's all coming for us. I have at it. The truth trumps what this
Hmm.
human Katie believes any day, any day.
And in fact, it'll
So
destroy the Katie that believes it in the process
yes.
too.
Yes. Oh, the Katie that believes all these
It's
things.
sometimes how
So
it
many
feels.
Katies have been absolutely pummeled, destroyed,
Yeah.
eviscerated. Katie has died so many times.
It is
Uh,
exactly how it feels at
um,
times. But
my res-
if you're prepared to hold that as being part of the process of coming to the truth, even though it feels the opposite at times, then you're really moving through it fast.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Lindsay asks something in the chat, which everyone says, "Ooh, good question." She says, "Is there a Stargate under Iran?" Is that, and I was just saying this, I'm hearing the word Stargate come up in a lot of videos lately. Like it's just coming into my field. Is there a Stargate under Iran? Is that what they're actually fighting for? To get control of all the Stargates to complete the transition?
Look, that could be the case. I don't know specifically, but I know that part of the world is extremely important. But yeah, uh, you could look at stargates. You could look at them as entry points for the fifth dimension into this physical world. Because when the out of a direct experience of 5D in the way we were, so the four physical dimensions of space and time became more dense, heavier, and that had an effect because there was a lot of fear. The fear that we felt post the destruction event and this sort of shutting down kind of went hand in hand. So the physical density of the planet and our relationship to 5D kind of echoed that. So instead of the whole planet resonating within that in one place, you would have these power centers that still had a connection, just like your heart connection can't go anywhere. The truth of who we were couldn't really be destroyed, but our connection to it mentally was shut down to where it was very hard to connect to stay. It was very easy to get caught up in the mind and very uh, hard to get back from there. So that's echoed in everything. But your heart connection, you can see it as a stargate. Your heart connection in your physicality is the same as a stargate in the planet. So the process playing out, it's more about getting them out of the way of shutting down the natural process that's taking place, where the resonant frequency of the planet is making the whole planet a stargate.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean, it's because the real nature of this reality is 5-dimensional, not 4-dimensional. So these
Right. Right.
concentrated areas, there's something about them. There's something about them that makes them, uh, like there's something about the
Susceptible to
geography
expansion.
and its history. Well, it makes it that they become pockets that hold the truth, the true reality. So it makes sense that those of the interference will concentrate over those areas to keep it shut out and control them.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And Jabaru White Dove says in the chat, the Stargate is for off-world ETs regarding child trafficked children. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, everything has you can use it for negative or positive. The Stargates
Mm-hmm.
themselves aren't really about that, but getting this group out of the way of this fifth dimensional reality is the key, and reversing the inversion it applies to everything. So it's your motivations, your protection, all things you can use a dimensional portal for a negative purpose or a positive purpose.
Right.
But the fact is that the human race coming back to 5D on this planet transforms uh, the relationship between these negative groups and this very physically dense portal, this physically dense plane of existence. There's a real benefit for them to controlling this planet because it is the most physically dense planet in the universe. There's a real benefit to them for that. But us shutting that out is the product of us coming back to 5D. It can't be used for that motivation anymore because there's no entry point for it, because we're the entry point. We have to give ourselves our power away through free will to the inversion for that to work. And that's one of the big problems they've got. One of the reasons why this planet and the human race were put together the way we were. Shoot for the moon, life's best hand, a trap. So it made it was very powerful thing for them to get in control over this planet. But they put all their eggs in one basket by doing that, because they threw everything they have at this planet to hold it there.
Yep.
And now they've got nothing left, and we've seen through the whole thing, and we bring it all back up to 5D at the foundation level of the universe. We see right through them, completely see right through them. Now there's a viewpoint that exists within the universe at the most physically dense space point of space-time, the fabric of the universe, that sees right through the illusion of those of the interference that's available to the entire universe. And that's the first time that's ever happened. That's the first time that think about it this way. If every human on the planet had the viewpoint of the Nazarene, could they exist?
No. Nope.
No.
Nope.
Well, that's what's happening. Every human on the planet is coming back to our true nature, which is the Nazarene.
Yes. Yes, the Christ consciousness. Basically, yeah. So when Carter asked, what I thought about, the Nazarene, it's like that, like he took in a homeopathic dose of the truth of who we are when he was put to death, and we are all emerging. What's that?
He was the concentrated homeopathic dose, and he took that into our collective unconscious.
Our collective, right. Thank you.
He gave the human race a homeopathic dose of the truth of who we are by taking his essence into our collective consciousness, by taking physical form as a human, allowing them to execute him. That became embedded in our collective consciousness, and that's what's helping us now wake up.
Yes, yes. As we come out of our slumber and we awaken our Christ consciousness, that's what everyone's talking about. But it's such a buzzword. You hear it so much, and you're just like, ugh, But that's exactly what's happening. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you bring it down to street level, that's what I always like to do. Just bring it down to ordinary everyday life and ordinary everyday terminology. Christ consciousness, I like to separate from the Jesus Christ words because they're so charged with religion and interference, and there's something externalizing about it and sensationalizing. It's like we want to get away from this feeling of powerlessness and ordinariness and make it special. And you've got to watch that. I mean, yes, it's extraordinary and it's amazing, but at the same time, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It's like just bring it down to street level, make it
Yes.
normal and ordinary, that everyone's coming back to the truth of who we are. Who are we?
Yeah.
The Nazarene. That's the
Yeah.
same as the Nazarene. As I am, so too are you. You know, it's like, why are you so amazed? Don't make a big deal out of it. It's nothing. This is just who you are. It's the idea that
Right.
wow, because inherent within that is still this holding on to the need to get away from something, someone that we don't want to be. So you got to watch that.
Right. Well, because it's made complex because they've thrown everything at us for us not to know the simplicity and the power and the divinity of us. So, well, yes, all this you too
Fundamental,
shall do.
yes.
Like, right. Exactly. But again, it's not in its simplicity. It's absolutely not simple. Right. But it will be, and it is. It's just we're in the throes of remembering it all. We're in the throes of living through undoing. Oh God. So there's a really long comment in the chat. You mind if I read it?
Go for it.
Okay. From Jabaru White Dove. She said, she says, yes, our heart is a stargate. I have a channeled painting regarding stargates, portals. My painting is for the light. The stargate is for that. I've been protecting our stargates, crystal grids. I'm an Indigenous woman elder, First Nations Australia, just so you both know. I'm also a Pleiadian walk-in contactee. We are surrounded by so many star beings who are protecting Mother Earth and all of humanity. Our star families are here. Disclosure is already happening.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Well, interesting because you know when the Arcturians first showed themselves to me in around 2015. Again, I can never specific. Was it 2014, 15, or 16? I can't remember specifically. However, when they first showed up to me, they had an Aboriginal elder with them standing behind them. And the power coming from this elder was absolutely incredible. And the last thing Tom said to me was, Australia is the future. And like I said, I was in 5D, so I had a face, you know, the face of God, if you like, this giant face in front of me, giving facial expressions to everything. And when he said it, he kind of leant in and went, you know, remember this, and it'll make sense to you. And there's a lot more to it than you think. And you'll go through phases of thinking, you know what it means, and each one will lead to the next, and it'll all transform, and it'll be blah blah blah. So, and it's come to me in stages. But yeah, Australia is the future, and I know that the Nazarene came here during the lost years and met with the Aboriginal elders, because there were lots of different tribal groups, and there were councils, same as the North American Indigenous councils of elders between. It was very similar setup to federation. So he would meet with council of elders throughout Australia. He had Egyptian priesthood was a big part of that, and there was a very old connection going all the way back to Atlantis with the Australian Aboriginals, and there's a connection between the Atlantean civilization, high civilization, and the indigenous connection to the land of the Aboriginal culture, and how they go together. They actually go together. So there was always a trade between the two. There was always a connection between the two, but it was very important for the Aboriginal lineage stay what Tom called the originals and the pioneers, the relationship between the originals of this planet and the pioneers, the galactic seeding process. There was a very important relationship between the two. And he told them what would be playing out, that there would be a lineage that would come out, that they would see this, the rise of this, the way I was told that he put it to the indigenous in America, for instance. He described the inversion of America and told them, you will see America come and go. So what happened in the Julius Caesar Shakespearean narrative around the Roman Empire, federation was inverted into a totalitarian system. Same thing happened in America. The federal republic that we all think America is had been replaced with a corporation. So he described that those two elements, because they already understood federation, sovereign groups coming together for a mutual benefit, forming councils that all came to an agreement that was all in everyone's mutual benefit, that respected everyone's sovereignty. They understood that dynamic because that's the natural state of civilization. He described the inversion process, that they would see it come and go. He told the same thing to the Australian Aboriginals, and he told them about this soul group that would be coming, which is the four that came through James and the Magdalene, and that there were groups within America and Australia from this soul group that were system busters, that they would go in as undercover agents, a counter move to what was happening in the Roman Empire at the time, which he also described to them, which happened through Paul. Always the same way. They have agents they send in to organizations or groups that are rising up that pose a threat to them. They'll infiltrate them through double agents, take control of the narrative around them, and then wipe them out of history, shut them out. So as a counter move to that, they had this soul group that would come through called the Four, that Tom called the Four, who would have a fifth dimensional connection to that couldn't be broken. Now, what that did for each of these people is they're a mix of the Nazarene and the Buddha, which means in one life, there's a part of them that's a master, born awake. A master is born awake and is always 5D, can't be shut down. And the Nazarene is an example of that. Amachi who's an Indian avatar. She's also born awake. So they would have this part of themselves which was connected to that, but then the rest of them was just an ordinary person going through a process like everybody of coming back to being awake. Mm-hmm. That had to be that way so that they could take a common thread of the Nazarene and spread it out around the world in terms of system busting, to go into the world as ordinary people, working in banks, working in factories, working in offices, just ordinary people with this system busting energy that put light into everything. So as the corporate system started to rise up, the fourth beast rising from the sea, it would have this whole network of glitches right the way through it that meant it couldn't quite work the way they needed it to work. It wasn't quite able to come together the way they had it planned because there was all this light within this dark system that they wouldn't quite let it play out properly. And that was very necessary. That had to be that way. And it connected with something Tom described, that the reason that the Nazarene went around the world was connected to that plan. It was necessary for his energy to circle the globe. So he put a whole, just like the homeopathic dose of the truth of who we are, he took in our collective consciousness, he took elements of that and stitched it into the land all the way around the world. So parts of it within parts of Australia, within parts of North America, South America, all over the world, Africa, all the places and the Middle East, right through the Middle East. So there's a network.
So are those the Stargates?
Exactly. They're connected to that whole portal Stargate thing, the fifth dimension. So they're all embedded in these different areas. Now, some of them were put there because there's already a connection of the land to the nature of a Stargate. But that also connected to the system buster energy of this soul group, the Four, to pull the frequency that the Nazarene took into our collective consciousness up into their life and through everywhere they went, and triggering a connection to the network that the Nazarene put around the world. So the Aboriginal culture they're very aware of that. And so are some tribes particularly certain tribes within North America. And there's a big connection between Australia and the US in terms of this transition, which will get more and more clear, I think, as the next couple of years play out.
Jabaru White Dove has been saying some lovely things. She agrees. Yes, absolutely. Australia is the new dreaming. Seven Sisters Dreaming, Lore Pleiades, White dove dreaming is about 7 white doves, Pleiades. Lyrans have recently visited me. Mike, and she goes on, my connection is with Yeshua, Mary Magdalene. And I've been working behind the scenes for lifetimes. And she says, I can remember leaving my star family, Pleiades, to come to Earth to help humanity and Mother Earth. I've been on a huge journey recently, health and finances, to awaken me even more. This morning I had a meltdown till now being here. Thank you so much. It's so beautiful to connect with you both here. So yeah, it's something else to have those experiences, have those remembrances of past lives, like that Christian Sundberg, who can remember choosing his incarnation, choosing his birth mother, and then backing out at the last minute. Like, he's written an entire book about it. He gives talks about it everywhere. But the point I'm trying to make is all of these experiences are going to become commonplace and normal. But right now, it's a very exciting thing to find so many people around the world who not only have had those experiences, or maybe not, but have the capacity to hear those experiences and celebrate you and your experiences. That's why it's been so isolating for so long for so many.
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, totally. And that's all changing. And, the Pleiades has a big connection to Australia too. I know, like, Uluru was a part of the Pleiadian, came from that Pleiadian system and was placed in Central Australia right at a key geological point. So it's the precision of where it is and how it was put there is quite something. And the moon as well is
I was just going to
connected.
ask you that, to talk a little bit about the moon, because I was going
Yeah,
to say, because right now we're having, what are we having? A full moon, a red something?
yeah,
I don't
blood
know.
moon,
I
lunar,
Blood moon,
full lunar
thank you.
eclipse.
And you know me, I believe very much all of the astrology. I do not poo-poo it. It's very exciting, but I don't know any of it. Like, I defer to you and Amanda Scarcella for astrology, right? And a few others. But I was going to ask, so like on the 3-3 and the 4-4 and the 5-5 and the 8-8, right? Like, everyone talks about, like, this is a great day, this is your chance to set your intention and change your, reframe your path and all this. And like, I was going to ask, number one, what, so I go around going, okay, God, I guess I got to set my intentions. But it's funny because I'm setting my intentions every single day of my life. So I wonder, like, why do I gotta do it on this one fucking day of the month? Like, I don't mean to be dismissive and shitty, but I am
How do you
setting my
relate to
intent.
these? How do you relate to these astrological processes, feet on the ground in a way that works? Is, I think, what you're asking, isn't it?
Thank you. Yeah, in a really long-winded way. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's it again, bringing it down to street level. We're already doing all of that. It's just well, I mean, look, how I relate to it personally is I notice I catch the keywords around what the astrological dynamic presents. Let's say, I think there are some keywords. I don't need to understand all of it. I'll just hear it's a blood moon eclipse. It's in Virgo. It's in the sun's in Pisces, the moon's in Virgo, and they're opposite signs. Remember, everything's about polarity, being in conflict, or it's when it's really unity. So there's something playing out. I know to look for. Those keywords help me to sort of focus on my own. What am I thinking or believing in any situation? Like, what's coming up the most for me at the moment. So it
Yeah.
gives you a way to relate to what you're living in now, what's coming to you. I think a lot of people approach astrology and a lot of this stuff with an act of will overlay to try to make what we're living
Yes.
into something,
Yes.
when really it's the other way around. A new
Right.
way of seeing what we're in, like holding it in front of us. Astrology is a good way to help us kind of get out of our own head and look at it. Okay, what am I thinking right now, and how's it feel for me? And looking at the dynamic that's being described, Again, you don't need to understand everything. Just let the keywords. It's like reading The Only Planet of Choice. Just let the bits that kind of connect with you at the time. Focus on that, and and notice what you're in now and how that might shift
Yes.
your perspective of it. You
Yeah,
might find you're
because
going through something at work or something in your relationship or something at home or something in the family. There's something going on right now, and you feel a certain way. There's a feeling tone to it, and you're thinking certain things. And you look at what this blood moon's about, and some of the perspective shifts that you might put them into what you're living, and think, oh, okay, it gives you another perspective. Perhaps
hmm
it can help.
yeah, and I find there's so much push in the spiritual world to like set your intentions and make your plans. Today's the day, and I'm always like, what am I doing wrong? Because, like I said, I'm setting my intentions daily. I don't need a special day to do this. Thank you. I and I'm not discounting the power of the 445566. I'm not at all. But
You try to
but
relate
this
to it,
is what's that?
but you're just trying to relate to it. Like, how
I'm
do I
trying to
relate it?
relate to it, but I'm also trying to not make it some big, huge thing because it's a way of life. It's what
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
doing daily. And then I doubt myself because, oh, you didn't do some ceremony or some special intentional thing on that portal day. And I just find myself getting like, the whole self-doubt
Yeah,
program, right?
yeah.
And and so I was going to say something about that, and it's gone, but it was really really good.
Oh,
Um, oh, I
okay.
know. So today's the blood red moon, and today my mother and I had numerous crises between us. And of course, they're not crises; they are what is trying to emerge. Like what are we being taught? What do we need to look at? And my mom went back and forth with me, and she was so wise in her response to what happened. And she said, fire horse injury. And I said, oh, what do you mean, fire horse? Do you mean injury or energy? And she said, no, injury, because there was a message that I received that I shared with a few people about, like, I don't know if it was for specifically March or if it was for the first quarter of the year. There are going to be a lot of falls, a lot of missteps, and it's kind of just the example of chaos. But then my one good friend's mother had a really bad fall, and then my mother had this crisis in her life. But it it was an injury. She the way she described it to me was her energy was kind of compromised or vulnerable for her to have allowed the injury to happen. So it's kind of a lesson to, I don't know, hone your skills and build up your stores, right? Your non-reactivity, your grounding, your centering in every single thing being brought to you is divinely curated for your experience, for your learning. And it was one thing after another all day today along the same lines of the big thing that happened to her. And I was just like watching this. And so there is power in this full blood moon. I don't discount
Mm.
it at all, but it isn't that box everyone's trying to put it in of do this on this day. Will use your will to create on this day. If you miss this day, oh, like 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 fuck off. No.
Yeah,
But
it's that feeling, where you think, oh my god, it's really important that I've got to do this, and did I do it right, and have I missed it, and or you kind of go, oh my god, I can't, I'm just too tired, or getting it wrong, um, all the human nature stuff, when really it's
yes.
it's kind of it's a map of the opposite. If you can relate to it, like I said, just in an individual way,
Mm-hmm.
There's no formula.
It's the art of non-doing. It's the allowing life to show you instead of you showing life. It's like what Lindsay just said in the chat. She says, you will act when it's time to act. I didn't plan to collect eclipse moon water, but I filled jars at the last moment and put some out. Like, not planned, just did it when it hits. And that's basically how I'm moving in the world right now. Like, I think you even talked about coming to the US next month or the month after. I'm like, can we talk about this? And I'm like, absolutely not. No, I can't plan like in 10 minutes. Like, do not bring that to me right now. and it's like, you handled it so beautifully, because it wasn't a no, but it was a no. Like, I cannot plan. I don't know what I'm doing in 5 minutes, dude. So I'm sorry to throw you under the bus too, but it was just a perfect example of it for me. I just like, oh my God. Let me put on my 3D, my tinfoil hat here.
There you go. That'll simplify it. Oh, I've got to get one of those.
Oh, yeah, but I just got it.
We make it into such a big. Oh wow!
Isn't he fabulous? It's from
what's that channel?
The Y Files. It is. It's Hecklefish from the Y Files. When I saw that, that Chris Bledsoe video, he says things.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I'll make him stop talking.
Accent.
That's well, me. Again, that's that childlike play. Anyway, go on. Yeah.
One of the big things I noticed it myself and just going through life for years and years and sort of seeing how people are responding to what's playing out. You know, when you hit the wall, it's a big problem. You know, it's you and life. It's everything. It's big. So, and we want the answer. We want the solution, and we want. You know, we're looking for why is this happening, and what can I change? What's happening, and we want. I think subconsciously, in some way, we think the answer is as big. You know, we've got this big question, and the answer we're trying to make what comes to us into a big answer that fits the question and takes it away. When really it isn't that way, simply because the reason we're in the situation where we have that question is because our perception of reality isn't quite right. So that needs to be dismantled. So we get to the end of the road of the paradigm which tries to put things together in life in the wrong way. Basically, you've got to fill the love deficit within you with something so that you don't feel it anymore. And we get to a point where we can't keep doing that because it doesn't work. Our life is, by that point, we've invested so much time and energy into it. It's all of our life. What's the alternative? Well, it's the perspective that we started out from, which is one small moment that created that big thing. So getting back to that perspective and changing it to the one that works. Remember, your motivations, your protection, in all things, there's 2 points of view. The ego that controls all the truth of who you are. That's it. So really the answer comes to you in small little stages. So the same with these astrological dynamics. One thing to see them as is, again, connect with the reality that this transition is real and we're coming back to the truth of who we are, and it's playing out right now. The fact that this astrology has never happened before, going back, the mix of elements that's playing out this year, they've got records going back 12,000 years. The best they can say is the earliest something similar like this has ever happened is about 14,000 years ago. Think about that for a minute. When did the collapse of Atlantis happen?
Right.
The Atlantean destruction event, and the couple of thousand years of process that led up to that moment was about 14,000 years ago. So there's clues there. You know, just let the clues sit there and see these astrology. Like, go and check out a video, look it up. Okay, blood moon, and go and see a couple of videos, listen to them. If you don't want to listen to all of them, you know, you're hearing You can press play, listen to what someone's got to say about it. You might find your attention starts to wane, but you picked up a couple of things. Just move on to another one. It's okay. And pick out little cherry pick bits of what people are saying about it that kind of connect with you. Everyone's got a fingerprint. It's unique. The transition's like a finger. It's the human race is a finger. The transition is one thing, but each person's relationship to it is as unique as their fingerprint. So there's no single formula. And yet it's all one thing. It's quite a funny thing. So your relationship to the transition, you can pick out little bits that resonate with you about definitions of what the blood moon is and what it means.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
focus on that. It's okay, and then look.
Well,
Use that it goes into your perspective, and then you're looking at life as it plays out, and you'll be
yes.
surprised what happens.
Yes. Right. Like, don't be so rigid in the practice that everyone's trying to give you to do to get somewhere or be something or get something. Wanda just said earlier, she said, the moon isn't more powerful than you. Nothing is. You are omniscient. And this is what we're all coming to. And everyone's like, yeah, spot on, Wanda. Yep. And then somebody told me I'm adorable. Victoria told me I'm adorable.
So you are very.
I will take it. Oh, and then what were you going to say?
I was going to say something about the moon, that it was put in position. So it's not from this star system, that it's connected to the Huvud, which is the Hebrew. Yes. So that's very important. The name I was given was, the planet was Altea, Altea, and that's it. It relates to the central sun. So the central solar system, the central moon, the beginning point, the point of origin. So Altea, one of the things God said, whenever you feel stressed or you're like in this position of overwhelm, like you're trying to get a handle on things, he said, you may ask for a protective beam of white light from Altea. In truth, you don't really need anything, but that was like, if you feel you need something, it's okay. Just ask for a protective beam of white light from Altea. And if you break the word up, Al is the name for God, T is the framework of physical reality, and Ea is Earth. It's the plane of existence. So the moon was the original planet, and it was destroyed. So it was put in place and used to help tune this solar system for the human race to be put together the way we are, and the transition energy, etc. So Uluru is also a piece of the Pleiades that was put into Central Australia, and there are different points around the world that were geophysically that connect to that as well.
Jabruru wants to talk with you, so I want you to tell me what that email address is that you have now, and I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, okay. It's Sacred Self. We've got to find a way to put it somewhere so everyone can see it.
I'm putting it in the chat. Oh, yeah. Right. Sacred Self.
Yeah. Sacred Self at, good question, 4 Pillars Coaching.
The number 4 or F-O?
The number 4.
4.
The 4
Pillars Coaching.net.
.net. So Sacred Self at 4pillarscoaching.net.
Thank you. Okay, keep talking. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just didn't want that to go by.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And I am, I'm open to coaching people. I'm starting to hit the limit. I've just taken on a course, and I'm working full time, and there's a lot going on. So I'm trying to kind of fit everything in, and I've got to get more organized so I don't lose track of everything. But just email me and I'll see what I can fit in. And then, so actually the certificate course I'm doing from the psychologist that Anna and I met through, my wife and I met through, we've been living our life. She's gone off, we all met, and the 4 pillars modalities all came in where we were living together at a retreat center. And then we went off and did our twin flame system buster thing, and she went off and put it all into practice, in her business. And now we've reconnected just the right point. So my wife's finishing her diploma course, and we learn about Byron Katie method, um, the family system constellation work, etc. She's using all of these she's used them in her psychological practice for years now. So I'm studying that certificate course, which is a fair bit of work, I've got to say, and I haven't done sort of study before, but anyway, she'll help me. So I'll get a lot better at helping people connect with how to use the Byron Katie method, because it's a key part of how to move through this process really cleanly and efficiently and get where you want to go. And it will have an effect too. It's not for the faint-hearted in some ways. It'll take you where you need to go. And that's sometimes the places we least want to go. But it has an effect on your family and relationships and the physical world that you relate to.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what we want to chat.
you have been mentoring me for over 3 years, and even though you are honing your skills in the process of it, the actual work of it, you've been living it and doing it without that. So I just want to say that, like, you're already invaluable to anybody who talks to you. And I just wanted to read, Nathan just said a mind-blowing fact is that Trump, Netanyahu, and the Iran leader were all born on eclipses. The precision and timing, signaling a transition, a new Earth, etc.
Wow, that's interesting.
That's super interesting, right? Right?
Well, I mean, Tom told me that mathematics is the language of the universe, and the divination arts and sacred geometry and trajectories, how you move through life, etc. The divination arts are the feminine aspect of mathematics. Very important. So tarot reading, astrology, channeling, anything intuitive about moving through life, it's all part of that mathematical reading the flow of life in real time.
Yep.
That's why spirituality and science together are what civilization is based on. You need feminine and masculine, and mathematics and science has to have that present, otherwise it doesn't work.
Yep. I don't know. Look at that, an uncomfortable silence. What will we do?
Whoa. It's a rare moment.
Oh, Wanda just explained why we're not getting all the chats. Oh, that's so funny. Because I see the chats over here on my computer, and I see the chats on YouTube, but Todd is also streaming to Facebook. And I think X cut Todd out. Todd is no longer on X right now. They censored him. But we're streaming on multiple platforms, so not everybody sees all the same comments. Isn't that interesting? Thank you, Wanda. I totally forgot to even consider that. I did not understand why I was not seeing everyone's chat, so everyone can understand that now. What else was I going to say? Oh, Melanie just messaged me because Lisa Rankin did a Substack article all about the, Epstein files and all these people she had done retreats with all over the world and been in green rooms with and all this stuff. And I had this back and forth with her a little bit, but she calls out Byron Katie in one of them. And it wasn't blatant, but I don't know if you read it. I wanted you to read it, and I was just curious what your take would be on what she said.
Byron Katie.
She does trigger people, but also nobody's above having, like, you know what I mean? Like, not that I believe it one way or another, but just like you're always expressing, like, be prepared to be wrong, be prepared for things to change, be prepared for things to be different than what we think. And I'm not saying I agree or believe anything one way or another, but it was an interesting article, and it wasn't really derogatory or inflammatory.
What did she say?
It was
Can you remember?
quite subtle. I don't know. Maybe, hey, Melanie, there's your homework. Go find what she said about Byron Katie and get back to us before the end of the show.
One thing, yeah, do that. One thing about Byron Katie, I mean, Anna knows more about this than me, but the right hand person that worked with Byron Katie through the 90s, Susan, her name is, she's actually part of this course. She teaches the method. She added something to it, I think something called the compassionate. It's like because one thing that can happen when you start challenging your own core belief system that's a reflection. Remember, it's all about managing self-doubt and fear of the unknown. And the problem with that, suppressing that from the age of, let's say, 3 all the way through to 50, is it's associated with a lot of situations, and it's also, there's a lot of suppressed energy. So once you start turning that stuff around, it releases, and you can be kind of dropped in it. So you can go into a session and go through this 1 hour, let's say, belief system with someone like Byron Katie. Then you go back home, and then the next month, all hell can break loose. Stuff can happen that really takes you places, and just being not supported through that, I think, is one of the criticisms. That people aren't necessarily, yes, they're prepared to get to go and look at what they're thinking, but they don't necessarily understand the ramifications of that, because it is a physical and an emotional process. You release a lot of the suppressed energy, and that really, like I said, that can take you places. So there needs also, I think I agree that you need something around that. It's like lift the lid off it, so that the process of getting real about what's underneath it, you got to meet the only way to know fear isn't real is to meet it, is to let it be there, let it come and get you. But at the same time, you've got to relate to that process in a way that keeps you with it. It doesn't make problems worse. It doesn't over amplify it. You've got to be willing to be taken to your limit and held there, yes. But I think sometimes she's had a bit of criticism because people think that she doesn't support people enough in that way. I don't know that her system's designed to do that, but that's why, again, the 4 pillars of the transition working together are quite powerful. And needing to working with somebody, I think, is a big thing. And that's something I think that's going to come out of what Anna and I are doing, is setting up a training program for people to learn how to practice in this. First, you don't know a thing until you don't truly know something until you've lived it. And we've got to consolidate what we've experienced throughout our life into a form that we can transfer, which is where reconnecting with Brenda comes in. We can study it ourselves. She's already put together a diploma course. We can bring the twin flame aspect to what she's put together and combine them into something. And we're looking at getting funding at some point down the track, so we can set up a training program for people, and each person lives through it, and then because they know what they're talking about in their own life, again, it's not a destination, it's a way of life. Practitioners have to be living this too. You can't just go and study psychology and think you know how to help someone. You've got to live through your own transformation yourself, because it's never what you think it is. And that's, again, where the Byron Katie method comes in. You're going places, it takes you places, back to that scared little kid who thinks that the shadow on the roof is a monster. That's a real experience. And it's been translated into many experiences throughout our life. So being held through that, and this is what the human race is going to go through as a whole.
Say that again?
Well, remember, the human race as a whole is having the lid lifted off the paradigm, which is about controlling fear.
Yes. And
so they're going to need a lot of people who know what they're talking about to help them.
Yes. And exactly what you just said a minute ago about the Byron Katie work. It's intense. It's very raw. It can be very uncomfortable. And it's also Yeah, it's very real. It's very necessary, but it's just like what Lindsay said way earlier in the chats. She said, yes, tell me all the things I do not want to hear. And I think
Thank you,
that's
God, for
brilliant.
taking me where I didn't want. Exactly. Now, those very qualities of the work are why it works.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we can't go around this stuff. We've got to go through it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, let's be realistic about how much we can handle in any one day, because we've still got to live at the moment. We've still got to function in a 3D reality. We're still in a transition from one will to the other. So I think that's
Yeah.
one of the criticisms that's been there in the past. But again, it's why it works. It's why the system works, because it really takes you there and it really has an effect. And in the
Yeah.
end, you can't do this work without changing the world around you. And again, we're programmed to be afraid of change
Yes.
and collapse of everything you thought you knew. Um,
Yeah.
you need to get out of your own way, absolutely. And there's a gap between that and knowing what the alternative is, and that being held in that gap while everything falls apart, and it's raw, like you say, and it takes some
Yeah.
time to put together to diffuse that. Again, find the one who cares. When you
Yep.
stop caring about that, the impact that it's having, that's when that's what it's designed to do, to take you to the one who cares. Like, it's really important
Well,
that you feel secure.
sure, but with the external kind of imploding or exploding, for not necessarily for us, but this whole disclosure thing and the Epstein thing and the wars and whatever, the collapse of the finance and education and medical, like with all of that happening, it is the help we asked for.
Exactly.
It is bringing so that it's so okay. So as all of this happens, each one of us gets even clearer in our intuition, gets even clearer in our gifts, in our unique abilities, in our soul plan. So each one of us, so it's why we can hear so many of these teachers maybe even better this week than the week before, because every single one of
Mhm.
these events is bringing us clearer and closer to ourselves and God. So,
Mhm.
so like I mentioned last week, I think so many are now talking about the fact that we don't have a reference point. We are the pioneers right now. We are the way showers. That's why we are looked at as crazy, is because nothing like this has ever happened before. So there is no reference point for where we're going, and a select few of us, or probably more than we all think, are doing the work, are consciously seeing it all. So with all of this stuff erupting, this great falling apart, it's creating the great coming together. And you
Yes.
can't deny it. You can hear the common threads with everyone. Everyone's message is getting a little bit more positive right now. The help is here. The help is coming. The galactics are there. The galactics are going to show themselves on a grand, massive, worldwide scale. It's coming. The
Mhm.
shit is collapsing, but your intuition is getting louder. You're getting the yawns. You're getting the tingles. You're getting the downloads. Todd's hearing it at the beach. Like, all the messages are getting more positive, more clear, more exciting. We're shedding our limiting beliefs, the beliefs we've held, even the beliefs that I got after my awakening that are completely different than what I had 3 years ago to today. Like, everything is shedding as everything happens out there. It's happening in here. It's very exciting. Mike says it's accelerating. It's absolutely accelerating. Deborah,
And it is
this is what?
I was just going to say that in and of itself is intense, and and you've got to lose it to find it in a way. I mean, it's very true. That
You
feeling
have
of
to
losing
lose.
it is
Yes,
intense.
the best place to be. You've long said that you no longer have investment in this current paradigm. So watching the shit crumble, watching it burn and fall, is exciting. There's no investment in that old, decrepit, deceptive, shitty, nasty way. Like,
No.
as that happens, the truth is just shining. The rainbows, the light, the energy, the excitement, the positivity, like it's all
Space
coming.
for the truth to come, the reality of, okay, if this paradigm is wrong, what's the right paradigm look like? There has to be room for that shift to happen. And look at it this way, the reason the paradigm is collapsing in the physical out there has as much to do with the fact that so many of us have no investment in it anymore as anything else. That's again, it's a reflection. So the Galactic Federation, the White Hats are able to move as far and as fast and act on in the physical sense of destroying the deep state's whole stranglehold on civilization. They're able to act on that in a much more efficient, quick way than they would have had. It wouldn't have been possible
Yes,
without enough people on the ground having already gone through the process of getting this paradigm,
that's
disentangling from this paradigm.
That's exactly what Alexander Quinn's message was about. You weren't ready. You are ready now. That's why it's
That's why
happening
it's
and
happening.
accelerating now. Exactly. And Jennifer says in the chats, I've never heard Todd say help is coming, but that we are the ones we're waiting for. And absolutely, we are the help we're waiting for. Absolutely. And help is coming. They
It's all
both
a reflection.
exist. They both
It's
exist.
all
We are being assisted by galactics, but we had to get to a point where the galactics could step in
good
and
stuff.
help. But so we are the help we're seeking, we're desperate for, we're begging for. We are that help. And the work we're doing on ourselves and the leaps and bounds in evolution and awareness that we are making is what's bringing the transition closer, the open conduct closer, the disclosure louder. That is, they both simultaneously exist, because I do get a little tired of it having to be one way. We are the help we're asking for. Well, yes, and we're being assisted. They both exist. They're both true.
One thing that the Arcturians told me years ago is we cannot do it for you. So the it they were talking about is getting us to a point where we could hear the answers. We could connect to the reality, because so much of the distortion is about repelling the solution. So we don't realize how much of our expectations and need, the one who cares, how much that gets in the way of the solution we're looking for. We actually are our own worst enemy. And what they were referring to is we can't just step in and fix that for you. That's what's in the
Yes.
way. You need to get
Yes.
to a point yourselves where you're actually able to hear that. And the fact that I could say that and people could hear it shows where we're at. And that's why the Galactic Federation can step in and show themselves. There's a
Absolutely.
context for that.
Yes. Wanda just said, last year I was channeling the Arcturians, and their last message was, why are you talking to us when you are more powerful? Right? Like they look at us with such reverence and awe at what we're doing, because we don't really have an understand. Maybe you do, and Wanda does, and Jaburu does, but I don't have. I can taste it. I can smell it. It's right on the edge.
You can hear it. Yeah.
I can hear it,
just
but I don't.
connecting to the reality of it, those, and that's coming. Can I do something really out of the ordinary and just mute and come back? If you can hold the floor.
Oh, well, maybe everybody in the chats will help me hold the floor. Where you gotta go?
Yeah,
Too
you
much
do that. I'll
coffee,
just-
Gareth? Okay. All right. Everybody help me out. I gotta watch the numbers go from
Get-
like 80 to 10.
Get some questions. I look at life like
I
this.
know.
Get some questions.
Well, I know. Well, hurry up, dude. I don't need to do this by myself. Yeah, it went from 77 to 50 in like a second. They don't want me, Gareth. They want you. So I guess I can read some of the chats because Brian says we will create it with our consciousness, the momentum of these messages. Yeah. And Victoria says, LOL, the third dimension collapses and we find we are the aliens in human avatars. Heck yeah. Oh my God, yeah. So, and Mike is just laughing at me because I'm holding this all alone with you guys, all by myself. He's not allowed to do this. Why are guys, oh God. Come on, Mike, ask a question. Help me. But I mean, am I right? The messages are getting not only more streamlined, like Gareth and I talked about. Jaburu, I love you. Thank you. But Gareth and I have talked about it before. The messages are getting more streamlined. They are getting clearer as the energy, the frequency rises. Like whatever isn't true is being pushed out. So of course the messages are going to get clearer. And who I couldn't listen to a week or a month or a year ago, they're getting the same messages energetically and allowing it in and not having their human get in the way of it. So letting the truth of who we are come through like the heart above the head instead of the other way around. Hi, Gareth.
Hi.
I did all right. I did okay.
You did. I heard you from the next room. Sorry about that. I just had to make a quick exit.
Nigel says, you're fine, Katie. You did it the other way. Anne's like, you can do it, Katie. And Jaburu says, at times, Katie, I forget how amazing and how powerful I am. Yep.
Yes. We're working on it.
Aren't we, though?
Aren't we, Katie?
Yeah. And it's everything, right? It's worth it. It's worth all the tears. It's worth, like, I think it was yesterday, I woke up in absolute panic and despair. And I have to ask, where is that? Who is that? Who's the Katie that doesn't want to be? It was so icky. And Mike felt the same way. And that's where I think, oh, okay, it's clearly not all mine. It's feeling for the collective. It's because we are all one, we can't not feel the suffering of one.
Yeah,
like you told me that. Yeah, you told me that like a year ago. You're like, Katie, you're so empathic. If one of us suffers, you're going to feel it.
And that's so true. And also, when you wake up in those states, it's a good time to look. That's when you can look up, okay, this blood moon thing, what's that all about? And you're in a feeling, you're in a moment, and you connect with, you just look up a video that connects randomly, like, when I ask for help, I just step out the street and left or right. It's kind of similar process. You're just in a certain feeling. I wonder if there's any connection to the astrology going. If there is, what is it? Check out a couple of videos online or some blogs somewhere. People describing it. Amanda Scaricella is a really great astrologer. Definitely check her out. Go and get a birth chart from her. Actually, I would highly recommend. It's worth it. If you look her up, we should put her details.
I'm gonna put her name in the chats. She's on Instagram. She probably has a Facebook. I wouldn't know because my Facebook is deactivated because it was sucking my soul.
Too truthful. If you're new to astrology, don't get overwhelmed by it. I don't know. I haven't got a great detailed knowledge of it either. But just getting your birth chart done, if you've never done it before, or if you've got one, getting a reading from her. She's just really got a really good way of describing it if you're not really au fait with astrology, and that's important. She's living this process for real herself. She's made some big changes, and she's having to meet the moment in a way that works. And so she knows what she's talking about and how to kind of distill it down, because there's, you can go too far with the readings thing. So it's a good idea to just, it's worth the investment to get a reading and just get your chart matched with this year, get a birth chart done from her, and just get a kind of connection to your own fingerprint and what's playing out. So that then when you do get these videos about the blood moon, the astrology that's playing out, you've got some personal frame of reference for it. Then you're just getting keywords. You wake up in the morning feeling the way you just described.
Mm-hmm.
Connect to a couple of keywords because it's about your perspective on what you're seeing, because again, you've got a feeling and your mind goes straight into finding it. Your mind has to make a conclusion about what you're experiencing in order to manage fear and self-doubt. That's what it's trained to do. So it's going to do that automatically. So all you need to do is add a fifth element, bring in some of this awareness that's shifting, awareness that's playing out, that's being the map of astrology is describing, and apply it to your own personal experience. So there might be a few keywords in a video that help you do that. It's really worth it. So definitely
Yeah.
get your birth chart done if you haven't already. If you have, go and get it. Either way, get a reading from Amanda, and to
Yeah.
just orient you to this year because it's unique and it's all
Yeah.
coming together, and it'll be worth the investment.
She does shadow work, which is what I've worked with her on for 3 years. She does
Very
shadow
important.
work. She does, yes, she does astrology. She does relationship. She does dream work. She's absolutely divine. I brought so many people to her. She's just like it's like talking to Gareth, like aha moments after aha moments. Everybody in the chat's like talking like so much. Jaburu says humanity is going through the dark night of the soul. I've been saying that so often. That's absolutely right. And then Jaburu, Margot's in the chat. She said she felt a huge lift of heaviness on Sunday evening and asked if anybody else. And Wanda said, yeah. And then Jaburu says, Gareth, I've got 5 planets in Scorpio, Scorpio moon, Sag rising in the 12th house. And Nigel says, I'm a stellium Aries and it's rough.
Wow. Yes, I just see Jabiru. I've got a stellium in Scorpio as well, including the moon, 4 planets plus and also Pisces. Stellium in
Mm,
Pisces and the moon and
mm.
Scorpio. Yeah, it's pretty potent. You feel it deeply.
Yeah. I think Jaburu is going to be emailing you. She was just saying earlier, Eric, Garrett, talk more about Australia, please.
Well, symbolically for those of the interference, I mentioned this before. They're the whole carrot on this. The carrot to this element. Those are the interferences, the way God describes them, was the human race and this planet and so on. So they entered and helped to invert the Atlantean civilization that was put together by the Nazarene as the hawk. So the whole seeding of planet Earth, what some ET guides have described as the grand experiment, is the seeding of planet Earth and the human race. That was a trap, as I've said,
Mm-hmm.
and they entered this trap by infiltrating the Atlantean civilization, playing on desire, so distorting the connection between the masculine and feminine and dropping it into the base level of sexual desire. And then, so the genetic technology, the mastery of genetics, you remember this, there's a lot of karma around technology that was playing out now based on that time. It was genetic mastery that was the core technology, and that was used to amplify sexual intensity, and it just went to a very dark place. Well, they were behind that, and we acted on it. So that put us into the
Right.
shadow self that we had to, which was all part of the plan. So
Yep.
we got pulled into the Darth Vader side of Anakin Skywalker, the shadow, and there was a lot of fear after that event, as Tom described it. So they have been manipulating us ever since and keeping us in a holding pattern. Well, the whole name of the game, if you look at Atlantis, is an island continent. So it's an island and a continent. It was one description. There's a lot more to Atlantis. There were colonies in Greece and Peru. It was quite a big place. So there was more than just one island. However, the central part of it you could describe as an island continent. Well, the only other island continent on the planet is Australia.
Right.
So symbolically, the reason China is in the process of trying to take over, it's in a soft uh, invasion process right now. Well, it's really those of the interference through China, the communist inversion of China into totalitarianism was just those of the interference, the same old story that they do everywhere. So there's a war going on within China, actually. The Chinese people aren't of that intrinsically. They're extremely artistic and spiritual. They're very, very ancient.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot more to them. So there's a fight going on within China against this system, but Australia is being invaded by them at the moment through a big process, and the Australian government was complicit in that for the last 30 years, particularly. Everything since World War II all around the world has been about what's happening right now, actually. So a lot of Nazis were brought into Australia, into Adelaide, after the war. The cult, the family, where Julian Assange has a connection to, that's where his father was a friend of the cult leader, Anne Hamilton Byrne. So he was brought into the deep state system in Australia through that cult because that was all connected to Nazis. The Australian government was set up in Canberra. It's all connected to that post-fascist movement. So the Chinese government the Chinese were put at the head of the deep state table, so they get the spoils this time. Before that, it was a lot of the European families. In the age before the Roman Empire, it was the Middle Eastern families. There's all these different family groups, part of the Council of 300. It's a hierarchy. So depending on the phase of the plan, different families will be put at the head of the table, so they get all the spoils. So as soon as the
Mm-hmm.
British Empire handed Hong Kong back to China, they were then given the chief major portion of BlackRock, one of the two corporations that own everything. So they're at the head of the table, and they're in a soft takeover of Australia right now because Australia symbolises the final point of their plan, which is the completion of the inversion of human race. So the last step was to get the Aboriginal culture disconnected from the land. Because remember, they go back 60,000 years. They're the continuity, the line of continuity to the human race's connection to the land. They were given the specific task of holding that connection through everything. And it's extremely powerful, the connection to the land of the Australian Aboriginals, because they're the oldest culture on the planet. And they're closest to the land. So that was supposed to happen through something called the referendum, which happened a few years ago, where the Australian Aboriginals, on the surface, looked like a good thing that they were brought into the Australian Constitution because they were always sort of put to one side. So again, social engineering, the strategy of putting the Australian Aboriginals down and making them not part of this country, kind of keeping them to one side. Okay, now we're going to include them and make them the same as everybody. On the surface, it looks like equality and serving humanity, but the version of Australia that they were going to bring them into is the corporation. Had that referendum gone to a yes, it would have completed their plan, and it went to a no. That shocked them because they're supposed to control elections. So the reason that it said that it came to a no was the ramifications of the fact that the human race reached critical mass to make the transition, and the importance of the human race, the Aboriginal culture in that connection, and their connection to the soul group, the Four, all direct. And that's why the Arcturians had an Aboriginal elder with them when they showed up with me. The process that Anna and I went through, all the way from 2008 to that point in 2015, was about being taken as system busters into certain points of the deep state's stranglehold. One of them was we were connected to the Amway group, which on the surface sometimes wisdom looks like foolishness and foolishness looks like
Right.
wisdom. It was never about making money in Amway. What was
Mm-hmm.
connected, Amway was being connected to Shanghai at the time, was blowing up because the middle class, which is what their plan was to blow up the middle class in China and to make this brand new middle class, a culture that had been suppressed financially, so that they would overreact. So Shanghai represented that. So we were energetically connected to this final phase of the plan through China when we did that. So that left an imprint, a system buster imprint within China through Australia. And we did that through certain points around Melbourne, which is a key part of their plan. A harbour state, the closest big harbour to Antarctica. So that's a very important part of the plan. So the importance of Australia was it's the last place for their plan. They've been left with 1 foot in the air. They can't quite finish their plan. It's almost finished, and then the last point was to get the Aboriginal culture disconnected from the planet. And they didn't quite get there. Something was in the way, this light. And it's in China, and it's pulling the more their intention to take over Australia. This is why Tom said the last thing he said to me, Australia is the future. You'll get this. It has a deep role. The Nazarene told the Aboriginal culture about the soul group, the four, that you'll connect with them together. You'll connect together. So that whole thing has come to a head now. And China is
I got
breaking down.
chills.
The more they try to finish their plan in Australia, the more they're bringing that light into their homeland, the more it's connecting to a revolution that's playing out within China. Their system, the social credit system, they've pushed them too far, and there's a lot of kickback. There are provinces in China that are breaking away. There's as big a revolution going on in China as there is in Iran, and no one's telling anyone about it because BlackRock own the media.
Yep.
Who owns BlackRock? Yep. Who's the major shareholder of BlackRock? China, the Communist Party.
So BlackRock's the one of two, but is Vanguard the other?
Yes. There is a third smaller one, but the main ones are BlackRock and Vanguard. They're satanic symbols, by the way. The names, BlackRock and Vanguard. The Vanguard of the satanic takeover.
Yeah.
BlackRock is the monolith.
Yeah. The symbolism and the math of it all and the inversion of the language, like it's all stunning.
Phenomenal.
When you connect the dots. It's
huge.
Even though it's a masterful evil plan, it is stunning to watch, to connect the dots. When you connect the dots, it's just like, oh my God.
Dark genius.
Yeah.
And they're a bit full, unfortunately for them, you can't out-strategize God, and so their arrogance in their genius is a bit of a downfall. The way Tom put it, they've never been able to break the human spirit. They've made us stronger and themselves weaker, actually, in the process too. That's biting them big time now. Napoleon, one of their worst, as I've said, he was one of the dark ones. He modelled himself on the Emperor from Star Wars. That's why he wanted to be the Emperor of the world. He said famously, the victor writes the history. So they've inverted everything and rewritten history so many times. So when the reality of our history comes out, which is a product of open contact, that's going to be mind-blowing. But again, the human race we can't do it for you. The collapse of the control narrative around COVID and the ramifications of what's being dropped with the Epstein files, the connection between the Epstein files and COVID actually is very important. So there's a connection between all this, it doesn't seem connected, but it is, because the final point of their plan is their most vulnerable point is COVID, because it's a central point of focus for the entire human race. Everyone has heard of it. So the control of BlackRock over the 6 corporations that control the mainstream media, and they also own all of the corporations, all of the pharmaceutical corporations, connects with what this control group, the Epstein files, is exposing. Now, when that gets made public, the victor writes the history. That needs to play out a little bit first, but then the Galactic Federation can tell us, okay, well, this is your true history. We have to get to the point where we know what we think we know is a lie first. So that's what this next 18 months is. And we're getting there. That's why you can afford to be really excited about what's happening around the world. Iran is very important to China, extremely important to China economically. The connection to energy is what runs everything. And fossil fuels. So China had a deal with Iran for oil that bypassed there's been a wrestling match over control of oil between the white side and the dark side for quite a while now. So their deal with Iran was to lock in place a direct source of oil so that they could keep their economy running whilst this was playing out, and that's now been cut off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Russia's
Yeah.
now going directly against the satanic families within Europe. The Arcturians showed me the year before they went into Ukraine. They remember that they gave me a map of the year, the next 18 months. I think it was in
Yeah.
January. It went all the way through. Had all of these. Each month was a square, and it had information underneath. Like it was like glass, opaque glass, and you could see writing underneath each month. Some of them were blue, some of them were yellow. Then the month of March was of that year. What year was it? 2023, something like that. Was red and solid with a white dot in the center, and it was called pivot point. And I was like, they were pointing at it because they never tell you everything; they just show you. Then it went off
Sure.
into the rest of the year, and they pointed my attention at it. Watch out for this; you'll understand when it happens. And of course, Russia went into Ukraine, and I knew that was the pivot point. That
Oh
was when it was
yeah.
starting. And look what the media did to it; made Russia the
I think
villain.
that was 24. Wasn't that 2024?
23, 24, yeah,
7.
24.
Yeah, I can't remember either. Like
Whatever it
time
was.
isn't even real at this point. Whatever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's incredible.
It's all
Elizabeth, it's all connected. It's all connected. You can't, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's in everything, everywhere you look. It's intoxicating and infectious, which I don't even believe in, whatever. Wait, I just have to share some of these comments from Elizabeth
yeah.
Appledore. Headquarters, Belly of the Beast is South Australia. Victoria is the head office. And she goes on to say, Colonel Light designed Adelaide for the gentry, only free settled state.
Mm-hmm.
And continues on to say Australians are mostly clueless. Conditioned everyone to have tall poppy syndrome on top of
Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome. What's tall poppy
Yeah.
syndrome?
Tall poppy syndrome is where you cut down the powerful. You kind of, you bring everybody down to base level. Like anybody who's trying to feel big, like promote themselves is, their relationship to that is a way to keep it. It's sewn into the culture to keep everybody small. It looks like,
I
you're
wonder what
cutting
that'd be
down
called
people.
in America.
Well, see, the
Sorry, go
Americans
on.
are opposite. You guys
Really?
have the opposite culture, yeah. You don't see a problem with that, whereas Australians are kind of trained to kind of see it as being ego. They want to cut you down to size, which is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to be too big or too powerful or show yourself too much, or you've got to kind of play small. It's a lot better than it
Ooh.
was, but again, Australians are very naive to a lot of this. It's changing, it is changing, but there's a stuckness within Australia because of that. There'll be a shockwave. It's kind of it's a long way from everywhere too, so it's not being hit directly in the way Europe, Central, South America, North America, or UK is. It's a lot more intense in those countries than here. Here, it's still kind of it's insidious, but China's really, really going to town on it. So that's
Yeah.
becoming more and more censorship, and the control system is starting to look more and more communist to people. It's starting to become more obvious. But the shockwave that will hit
Yes.
here will be sudden when it does
Yeah.
blow up. And
Yeah.
the Epstein files are having a big effect,
Big,
starting to
big,
anyway.
big. The ripple effect of the Epstein files is crazy. Yeah, Elizabeth goes on to say high achievers get shot down. And
Yeah.
Jabaru says Australia is one of the main offices for child trafficking.
Mm.
And
Southeast
and
Asia.
Elizabeth, wow. And Elizabeth says only the few are allowed to truly shine. And Victoria says Aussies are good sparring partners. Elizabeth, Victoria, and Javaru, and Nigel, we got all these Aussies in the house, dude, and they are going to town in the chats. This is
I bet.
fabulous. This is so great. Like Elizabeth saying misogynistic too. Nigel's saying anything like the CPS in the US or the Red Cross and docs. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's the Epstein files. That's a wonderful thing that the Epstein files are bringing to light is the truth of the Child Protective Services, CPS. Everyone thinks they're good. They are the hub of child sex trafficking. They are the worst,
Red
right?
Cross,
Like that is the shit. Oh, and then in
UN,
all of the Red Cross, yes. Oh my God, I
UN
gave
and the
blood
Red
for
Cross,
years. Oh
Mother
my God, the
Teresa.
UN. Oh, Mother Teresa. Oh my God. The Epstein files are like kind of a linchpin in all of it. It's unraveling
Big time.
this stuff
It's
one
the
thing at
kingpin,
a
as I
time.
said. All you
Yeah,
need is
it's
one.
really
You get the right honourable kingpin and pull it out, everything goes, whoa. And that's the
whoa,
ripple
yeah,
effect.
it's fantastic. Like even if so much is redacted, it's bringing up so much because it's been released. Some of the people who have been screaming this from the rooftops are finally feeling the confidence and the empowerment to say the things out loud again. Because 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, they'd have been like locked away or they wouldn't be heard. Now there are so many people with the capacity to
Mhm.
hear them. You can't believe the stuff that's coming out about Hillary Clinton and frazzle
Yeah.
drip and like the ramifications of the Epstein files, redacted or not, is massive. It is exciting.
Big time. And look, the redacted part, but remember, it's coming out in stages. So sometimes what was redacted is almost as powerful as what's put in there because there's something
Yes.
trying to be protected. So it's exposing it in layers and in stages. And the more that happens, I think the braver a lot of people, there are more people within the system that are feeling the confidence to come out. So the whole thing's an exponential growth curve. The more of that happens, the less redacted. The more people will demand what's under these gaps here, who's in charge, like what's going on behind the scenes. It's playing out in Australia too, and that's a big thing. The Australian government is, oh my God, it's one of the worst. And it's
Yeah.
the image. Canberra was put is the capital city of Australia is Canberra. And the premise was that there was a battle on between Melbourne and Sydney, which one would be the capital of Australia. And, it was an ego fest. So they decided to make this third place halfway between. But it forms a triangle, actually, this all seeing eye triangle, and it follows the same satanic grid layout as Washington DC, and it's the same principle. So the City of London, the corporation, the British Empire, who blockaded Boston Harbour at the end of the American Revolution and brought in a covert system underneath what everybody thought, just like Christianity, Roman Empire changes to Christianity, the American Revolution just takes on a new form, and they create this
Mm-hmm.
satanic capital called Washington DC and another one in Australia called Canberra, and it's all connected. There are connections to the
Jabaru
Jewish.
just I'm just loving these Aussies having a ball in the chat. They're going nuts. This is great. Uh this is so much fun. But a lot of them, I think, are from Facebook. So a lot of our friends in the YouTube chat can't see their comments. So I'm glad I can read
Oh,
it to
okay.
them. Yeah, Jabaru says, "Yep, Mother Teresa, vomit," and Nathan says, "Yeah, Red Cross, a few others." And Elizabeth says, "People in the mainstream are full of shit." Nigel says, "Aussie, Aussie, Aussie," and Jabaru says,
Oh,
"Nah,
yeah.
Gareth." Javaru says, "Nah, Gareth, Australians are aware. So many spiritual teachers I've known for 30 years." And
Oh,
Elizabeth
yeah, yeah,
says,
absolutely.
Posey,
I'm talking about the general public.
the general
Everyone's got
public.
this sort of mainstream population within the world. That's really what I'm talking about. But
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
the
I
awake
don't think
people,
like
huge man.
Yeah, I don't think you guys are really like disagreeing with one another. I think she wants just fair representation for so many that have awakened. Elizabeth says, Cozy from South Aussie. Aussie started the toilet paper bullshit that created the full of shit shortages. People pinged off left, right, and center. Not. This is so much fun. Nigel says Killarney is so bad. Melissa says, yes, go us Aussies. And Jabaru says, I was silenced at a couple of rallies here in Cairns, Australia. And she said, nope. Nope. And she says, nope, I stepped up. Victoria, finally everyone can see we aren't in Kansas anymore. And Jabaru says, yes, Canberra has tunnels underneath all through Australia. Like the whole sex trafficking. There are tunnels under everything for the sex trafficking. This is what people are going to have a hard time with. Oh, everybody lost sound. Oh, no, Mom lost sound. I don't know. I hope everybody can hear us. Let us know if you can't hear us. But I mean, it is 10:30. I don't know if you want to say anything to all of that. Mike H says Red Cross sucked a lot of blood out of me too. I used to donate apheresis. I used to be on the the organ donor registration. I removed that this year, and I am absolutely public about no thank you. The whole thing is dark nastiness. Yes. Okay, thank you, Wanda. Wanda said she had to refresh, and now it's all okay. Mom hears it again. Okay, good. Roseanne says it's going off and on. Okay, you got to go?
Yeah, it's a big glitch. Internet's been really weird for us. I don't know about anywhere else. Down here. And this platform too, the video goes grainy and with the audio drops out a bit.
Well, I've been looking. It goes grainy for you and me, Gareth, but when I'm looking at it on my phone, we're crystal clear the whole time. It's very funny.
On YouTube. Oh, okay. Because I thought sometimes when I looked at the replay, it seemed to have that still there. Or maybe not.
Oh, Nigel didn't mean Killarney, which I was like, isn't that Ireland? But he said he meant Killary. Killary is so bad. Yeah. That Killary, the Hillary Clinton stuff is really grotesque. It is beyond grotesque. It's unsettling. And too many people are saying it for me to ignore it. Did you just say you had to go though, Gareth?
I think I do. Yeah, I think it's
okay.
I've got a bit on later. So yeah, we're
all right.
2.5 hours though.
I know, and Jabaru is so happy she was guided here, and she says, "Thank you so much, love you both." So thanks everybody. Awesome. Yeah.
Thanks,
every
everyone.
Tuesday, same time.
Every Tuesday.
All right, thank you, Todd. We love you.
Thanks, Todd. See you, Katie.
Okay. I love you, Gareth.
Love you all. Bye. Love you too. Where's?
Good night.
Good night.
All right. Bye-bye.